Congratulations to the people that got it.
I got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to all of you. Oh, and also Bruce and Don. I don't know what to say about them. Some of you have gotten to know me a little bit. And in the short time that my beautiful wife Kristy and I have been here, you have come to know me as a very shy and retiring guy. Well, tonight I'm gonna try and come out of my shell and be a little bit more abusive. What I did there when I said ladies and gentlemen and also Bruce and Don, that was what they call insult comedy. I want this to be kind of a tutorial. It's kind of a Don Rickles kind of thing. I kid my friends. I really do sometimes like them. Now, Don Joy told me in the course of conversation one day that the doctor told him to lose some weight, and he thought that was a good idea, and I need to lose weight. So what did I do? Because I'm this kind of guy, I spent 20 hours researching on the internet a weight loss project to help people like Don Joy, and myself, of course. It boiled down to two words: eat less. Did I even get a thank you from Don? No appreciation. Too late. Anyway, it's hard for me to socialize with others, but as I said, I'll be coming out of my shell. So, starting over. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jerry Foreman and Kristy Swanson.
If you want to take this chair I'm sitting on,
presentation
okay.
Because we will lock the doors. No, I'm not going to do that. And we promise you, Kristy, what did they pay to get in here? Then you're going to get your money's worth. Absolutely. Now, here's the thing about comedy. There's different tastes in comedy. Different tastes. For example, Kristy likes a guy she's seen in person.
No, bring it. Bring it so you
There's
can
a
sit
stand-up
on
comic in Las Vegas, and a lot of people think he's really funny. I don't think he's all that funny. So my point here is, not everybody will think everything is funny. So bear with me. Please have mercy on me because I'm trying really hard. Okay. And I know it's not easy for some of you guys like Don and Bruce. Don Rickles thing again. Okay, moving along. Look, let me give you the format of this show. Thank you very much. I appreciate her. I got the thing in the front row. The format of this show is that it harkens back to a long time ago. It's a radio program, which allows me to read from a script. Because heaven knows, most of us can barely remember what day it is. Especially you out there. Okay, see, I did it again. This show will require a bit of participation from you because this presentation is designed to not only entertain you, but it's designed to be a learning experience. You're back in school. You got it now. When I ask a question, I expect an answer. You got that, Linda? All right. I expect an answer. Okay. Our fabulous stage manager, Rachel, will continue to give you clues as to when to applaud. Let's hear it for Rachel. Okay, so now you know who the players are. Of course, my beautiful wife, Kristy Swanson. Let me get the credits out of the way. Let me get the credits for the show out of the way right now. This show, this presentation is brought to you by Jerry Foreman and Kristy Swanson. Let's hear it for Jerry Foreman. It's produced by Jerry Foreman and Kristy Swanson. All comedy material has been created by or accessed and researched by Jerry Foreman and Kristy Swanson. This performance is designed by Jerry Foreman and Kristy Swanson. This show is directed by Jerry Foreman and Kristy Swanson, and this show stars Jerry Foreman, and who else do you think maybe? And it's all brought to you courtesy of a brand new corporation that we formed so that we can continue to do these shows. And it's been appropriately named Humble Productions. Okay. So you know who the players are. And so Kristy and I would like for all of you, or as said in Texas, for y'all to know us better. So here's a little history about us. I'm originally from Chicago, and I lived in New Mexico and California prior to landing here in Texas. I was released from parole about 6 months ago, and my parole officer says I'm doing very well, very well. In addition, I would like to put to rest a rumor that I met Kristy while she was living in a cardboard box in an underpass below the 405 freeway near Hollywood, California. That is not true. I would also like to put to rest the rumor that she was belly dancing at a sideshow in a carnival. I did not. Now, I'm going to get serious now because you deserve to know. The truth is, I met my beautiful wife, Kristy, she's an accomplished pole dancer. I met her at a gentleman's club, which is a euphemism for strip club. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's going on? I met her shortly after I got out of parole. When she finished her exotic pole dance, and I'm telling you, it was terrific. She came over to the table where I was sitting, and she asked if I'd like to buy her a drink. I recollect her saying something like, hello, big boy, would you like to buy a lady a drink? And of course, I said, okay. And when she saw that I paid for our drinks with an American Express Platinum card, she fell in love. Believe me, she did. It cemented her affection for me. It wasn't a gold card, so nobody can call her a gold digger. Yeah. Tell you a little bit more about Kristy. Kristy likes to shop. Oh, God, does she like to shop? I'm telling you. So much so, last week, Jeff Bezos called me on my cell phone. In case you don't recognize the name Jeff Bezos, he's the founder and chairman of the board of Amazon. Mr. Bezos was concerned that a day went by and Kristy wasn't scheduled for a delivery. What a sweet man. What a sweet man. He was worried about her. Okay, back to me. As for my educational background, some of you already know this. I went to USC. You've heard of it, right? The University of the Streets of Chicago. You've heard of it. And I earned my medical degree with a specialty in surgery. Then I decided to become a sales professional, and I specialized in wallet transplant surgery. Yeah, that's where I take it out of your wallet. You get it? Yeah. You guys are smart. What And prior to that, and this is the absolute truth, I had a distinguished career as a photography model. That's funny? No, not funny, it's the truth. And it was for before pictures. For everything. Okay. In addition, and this is an unusual thing, I fall into an unusual category. I can do things equally well with either hand because, what am I? Amphibian. I'm sorry, ambivalent. I am. Also, with regards to my family, I have 3 children, a boy, a girl, and one just like me. Now, I'd like to share some personal insights with you. These are just my observations. This is what makes me think about things. Now, I will say one thing about Jerry Seinfeld. He was an observational comedian, and so I guess I'm emulating him in the sense that what I'm going to talk to you about now is observational. There's things that confuse me in life, such as ads I see for shampoo. Now, when I was a kid, we washed our hair with the same thing we washed our body with, Ivory soap. Remember Ivory soap? 99 and 44, 100% pure. If you use shampoo, you use something like Pro. Remember Pro? You could drop a pearl into a bottle of Pro, and it took 14 years to get to the bottom. It was so rich. That was the question, folks. You remember that? Anybody?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
I used it.
Recently, I saw an ad for a shampoo They cost $42 for a 12-ounce bottle. The ad says it tenderizes, it moisturizes, it unfrizzies, and that men will flock to you, and women will envy you. It'll give you a glow. It'll give you a flow. All that, and not one word about making your hair clean. So things are changing, I guess. But what do I know? Maybe that's the thing now. Another confusing thing to me is music, hip hop and rap. What happened to melody? That's a question, folks. What happened to melody? Anybody? Nah. What happened to melody? Like classic senior song. How much is that Walker in the Window? Beautiful melody. And classics like The Married Man's Anthem. The Married Man's Anthem. It was sung by many crooners, but most famously by Frank Sinatra. Anybody remember what it was? No, I did it her way. Married Men's Anthem. I did it her way. Married men know what I mean. Another thing that confuses me, another observation I'd like to make, is that they refer to old age as the golden years. Yeah, that's a laugh. Daphne, stay awake, please. It's a fact. Every one of us would pay whatever gold we could put together to be young again. Of course we would. The only part of golden is the letters O-L-D between the G and the E-N. G, O-L-D, E-N. That's the only part. And how silly are senior discounts? We don't need them. We got enough money to live here. We don't need senior discounts. Doesn't it make more sense to give the discounts to the young people so they can continue to pay for our Social Security checks? Yeah, give it to her. Let her pay my Social Security. That's where I'm going with that. What do I know? Now, right here is where I'm going to ask you to take notes. Did you all bring your notepad and pencil? Because there's going to be a test, a quiz at the end of this show. And the
doors will be
following.
locked?
Yeah, I'm sorry?
The doors will be locked?
The doors will be locked. There's going to be a tutorial here, and there's going to be a quiz, and this is about different types of comedy. Like I mentioned earlier, some stuff is funny to some people, not funny to other people. You never know. So on today's tutorial, I'm going to be tutoring you on sketch comedy. Sketch comedy is something that had its before our time, really, even for you before our time. It was in vaudeville and music halls. And it's where you formed a bunch of little acts together to perform in a longer, larger program. The first televised example that I think most of us remember was the Texaco Star Theater. Remember that? With Uncle Milty? Yeah. And that was on from 1948 to 1967. There were other sketch comedy shows. The Sid Caesar Comedy Hour with Imogen Coca, absolutely priceless. Carol Burnett's show, hysterical. The Sid Caesar Comedy Hour was also known as the Show of Shows. And there's a famous British comedy group, which a lot of people don't like. I thought they were funny. Monty Python. That's right. And for the last 50 years, probably the greatest sketch show of all time.
SNL.
Saturday Night Live, which is on at an hour that none of us can watch it. Now, continuing with the tutorial. There's also movie and theatrical play comedy. From a guy named Mel Brooks, we have Blazing Saddles, things like Spaceballs, Young Frankenstein. These movies are a sub-genre known as parodies of other movies. There are also great comedies that were written just to be funny. They were Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, starring Jack Lemmon, Tony Curtis, Marilyn Monroe, The Odd Couple, and MASH, which were not only movies, but they became TV shows, big-time TV shows. One of the most famous sketch comedy duos of all time were George Burns and Gracie Allen. Anybody remember hearing them on radio? Yeah. What they were doing? They started out with George as the comedic partner, but then they switched George to be the straight man when it became obvious that Gracie was really blessed with the greatest comedic talent. She was way ahead of her time. And now for your delight and enjoyment, I present Kristy Swanson as Gracie Allen and me as the straight man, George Burns, doing one of their fabulous radio sketches. Ladies and gentlemen, and YouTubers, and Don, let's welcome Kristy Swanson as the incomparable Gracie Allen. Gracie, what did you do today?
Well, I went to the beauty shop and I met Clara Bagley and she was going to the doctor, so I went along with her.
Well, Gracie, that was very nice of you.
As soon as I got to the doctor's office, I knew he was no good.
He was a bad doctor?
Yeah, all his patients were sick.
Oh, Gracie, you're very observing.
He has a beautiful blonde nurse, and even she was sick.
She was sick too?
Yeah, she kept begging him to take out her appendix.
The nurse wanted her appendix taken out?
Yeah, Georgie, every time she went into his private office, I could hear her saying, "Now, doctor, please cut it out."
Oh! Gracie, what was the matter with Clara that she had to see a doctor?
Well, I think it was to have the dents taken out of her knees.
Clara had dents in her knees?
George, yeah, because every time I looked in the office, he was pounding them out with a little rubber hammer.
I'll explain that one to you later.
So while she was in the doctor's office, I was in the waiting room, and I cheered up all the patients.
Oh, I knew you would do that.
Oh, and wait till I tell you. There was one little boy sitting all by himself, and he looked so sad. So I brought him around and made everyone shake hands with him.
And that made the little boy feel better.
Yeah, he almost forgot he had the measles.
Oh, Gracie, your friendliness is very contagious.
Thank you, George. Yes, and I helped the nurse too. I answered the phone for her.
I see.
Well, someone called up and wanted to know if a man 85 years old could have rickets. And I said, "Oh, sure. Let him have as much as he wants as long as he chews them well."
Gracie, you were a real big help down there today.
Oh, and there was a doctor in the next office, and he was whistling.
The doctor was whistling?
Yes, the nurse said that Dr. Brown was the famous obstetrician.
I see.
She said last year he had 260 babies. So I said, "I bet his wife ain't whistling."
Whoa! Let's hear it for Gracie Allen, the incomparable Kristy Swanson. That's, I mean, if you remember Gracie Allen, that's about as good an imitation as you're ever going to get. Now, as part of our continuing tutorial on comedy, I will give you a lesson on stand-up comedy. That's where an individual gets up in front of others and tells amusing stories and jokes, such as I'm desperately trying to do myself. People such as I mentioned earlier, Jerry Seinfeld, Henny Youngman, remember him in olden times? That was your question, remember him? Thank you. And Rodney Dangerfield, oh God, may he rest in peace. Jerry Seinfeld's humor was what I said earlier, was observational. He had a knack for seeing things differently than others and made famous a tagline of, "What's the deal with that?" That was his tagline. As in, what's the deal with homework? You're not working on your home. A great tagline. Henny Youngman was known for his one-liners, the most famous of which you all know. Take my wife, please. And I've got all the money I'll ever need if I live till 4 o'clock. And my wife dresses to kill. She cooks the same way. You gotta love Henny Youngman. You gotta love Henny Youngman. The best tagline of all time belongs to Rodney Dangerfield. I don't get no respect, as in, I was such an ugly baby when I was born that doctor slapped my mother. I tell you, I don't get no respect. I could tell that my parents hated me. My bath toys were a toaster and a radio. No respect, I tell you, no respect. I remember the first time I was kidnapped. They sent a piece of my finger to my father. He said he wanted more proof. Oh, I don't get no respect at all. So that's really great examples of stand-up comedy. And now I'm going to tell you one of my favorite jokes of all time. I don't know where this joke originated. There's very few jokes that are original. People just take them and modify them and so on. But I'm going to tell it to you the way I heard it the first time, and then explain to you how you can change the punchline and it's still just as funny. It's called an agent joke. An agent joke. Shlomo is an agent. And he keeps bringing acts to Max that are no good. And Max has really had it with him. He doesn't want to see anything that Shlomo brings to him. But Max has an act that he thinks is going to be the next great thing in the history of entertainment. So he goes to, Shlomo has this act, and he goes to Max's office, and he says to Vera, the secretary, I need to see Max. I got this act. It's fantastic, blah, blah, blah. And she says, Max won't see you, Shlomo. You're persona non grata around here. And he said, yeah, you got it. He begs and he begs and he's crying. And finally she goes in and she tells Max Shlomo is here. And Shlomo says, okay, I'll come out. He says to him, Shlomo, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. That's it. Then get the hell out of here. Well, he goes out in the hallway, Shlomo does, and he comes back in with a box, big box. He unfolds the sides of the box. And in the box is an entire orchestra of mice dressed in tuxedos with little bow ties and cummerbunds. And they're warming up, oboes, violins, they're warming up with instruments. And out comes a conductor, beautiful mouse with a long mane of hair, and he comes up to the top, he taps on it, and everything goes silent, and they start to play the Nutcracker Suite. It's incredible. And out from a corner of the box come dancers, and they're dancing the ballet, the Nutcracker Suite. Absolutely incredible. At the end, a little cannon goes off. Remarkable performance. And Shlomo says to Max, what do you think? And Max says, I think the oboe player looks too Jewish. Now, that's what makes it funny. It's funny. But you see, you can change that to that's the way I heard it. You can change it to a non-ethnic joke by saying, the oboe player looks too much like Bruce, or, whatever, or he's too heavy, or, whatever. Now, I'd like to share with you, and we're nearing the end here for those of you that are getting antsy, I'd like to share with you that at 82 years old, that I look back and I have some more personal observations, things about sports. Do you have any sports fans here? Sports? I know you love sports. Yeah, we're all sports fans. Yeah. Warning again. Remember, I gave you a warning earlier. Don't say I didn't warn you. The word testicles will be spoken in my following dialogue about sports. If, as I said earlier, for any reason you are offended by the word testicles, which I promised and previously told you would be spoken, there are earplugs under your seats. Nobody's looking? Okay. And if for any reason the earplugs aren't, did you put them there, Kristy? You forgot? Then you can do this.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you a warning. Okay? So, There are things I would like to do to make watching sports more interesting. That's really what this is all about. And I think you'll agree. For example, there's constant spitting in baseball. Everybody's spitting, right? The spitting, the batter spit, the pitcher spit, the other players on the field spit, everybody's spitting, the coaches spit. Frankly, it's disgusting, isn't it? That's a question. Yeah, it's disgusting. And it's not very interesting. What you never see is spitting in basketball. Now that piques my interest. Yes, sir. Big spit loogies all over the court and a slipping and a sliding. Now, that'd spice up the game, eh? Gross. Who said gross? But that would spice up the game. So you watch a hockey game. You ever watch a hockey game? Constantly they come out, they're fighting and bashing each other in the face. Some commentator once said he went to a fight and a hockey game broke out. Not that interesting to me. What I want to see is hitting to the face in football. And who can take the most punishment on their hands, hitting the helmets and that would make it more interesting. Okay. That'd spice up the game, huh? But what do I know? Let me go back to baseball for a minute. There is one other disgusting habit in addition to incessant spitting in baseball, and it seems to be unique in baseball, and that is crotch grabbing or jock strap adjustments. In full view on national television. It makes me wonder if baseball players are the only ones who wear jock straps. Now, how about this? Adjusting jock straps by swimmers and divers. Yes, sir. Adjustments when wearing those little Speedos could turn up a little surprise every now and then. And now you're being warned again. This could cause testicle exposure. Or even a bit more physical. I believe interest in swimming and diving as a spectator sport would go up dramatically, but then again, what do I know? Again, I want to tell you now, the word testicles will not be spoken about. Now, can anybody explain to me why tushy padding is so prevalent in football? I mean, we're talking about the most homophobic sport on the planet. And a guy scores a touchdown, he throws a touchdown pass, he makes a tackle, everybody's giving him a tushy pad. If we're going to see that kind of tushy padding in football, I'd like to see that extended to other professions. Now, as for me, I was in the sales and marketing game. I mentioned that to you earlier. And I think that when I closed the deal, a tushy pad would have been very nice. Very nice. So, I mean, the heck with the congratulatory handshake and all that crap. How about a nice tushy pad from the boss, huh? How about you? You were an engineer, you did something, you get a nice tushy pad from the boss. Okay. And that has spiced things up a little bit, but what do I know?
True.
That one wasn't very funny. Anyway, and speaking of observing things, this is a question that I have never been able to get the answer to. And I need a little help with this. What do you got to do to get a knife in a Chinese restaurant? What do you got to do to get a knife in? What do they think you're going to use it as a weapon if they don't like the chow mein? I don't know. All right, we're coming to the end, and people are going, thank God. A most common a most common genre of song is song comedy. A genre of comedy is song comedy. And one person who excelled at this was a guy named Weird Al Yankovic. You remember him?
Yeah.
I didn't ask you. No, I did not really. Long ago, there was somebody, many of us will remember, who created original lyrics and adapted the music for those lyrics from the opera. I'm going to give you a clue now. Somebody might know the answer. He took these lyrics and he applied them to an opera called La Gioconda by Amincati Ponticelli. Did you know that? Yeah. Does anybody know who I'm referring to? Yeah? You knew who that was? Wow, what a brilliant group. You know who I'm talking about? Who?
Mona Lisa.
No, not Mona. This is a guy who wrote a song and he adopted it to that opera. Anybody? All right, I'm going to give you another clue. Another very bright clue. Another clue, he had a New York accent in which the sound ER, as in the word better or brother, came out as better or brother. Who was this guy who wrote these songs? Anybody? He appeared frequently on the Ed Sullivan Show. Anybody? Alan Sherman. Who said that? Congratulations. Our music guy right here was Alan Sherman. We're going to close out by all of us participating in this because singing makes you happy. And I think Alan Sherman was an absolute riot. So the word testicles, by the way, does not appear in this song. I'll start and you join in, and audience participation is mandatory. Well, you're good at passing out popcorn.
Oh no! Hold on! I don't know what's happening.
Well, we can do it.
Go to slide 2, slideshow,
We'll get it even if it isn't.
and then click play. You got it.
There we go. This is to make us all happy because singing is joyous, okay? And this is way that you guys can be funny too. Hello, mother, hello, father. Where is he? He's at Camp Granada. Hiking with Roast Ivy. He developed poison ivy. You'll remember Leonard Skinner.
After dinner, all the counselors hate the waiters, and the lake has alligators, and the head coach waits no sissies. So he wrote something called Ulysses. Now I don't want this. Should scare ya.
I don't want that this should.
This should scare ya. You remember Jeffrey Hardy. They're about to organize a searching party.
Me home, water the father. Take me home. Don't leave me out in the forest where I might get eaten by a bear. Take me home. I promise I will not make noise on this house with other boys. Oh, please don't make me stay up in here one whole day. Dearest Diana, how's my precious
Little
brother? Let me come home if you miss me. I will even have to hug and kiss me. Wait a minute, it's not raining. Guys are swimming, guys are sailing, playing baseball. He is better. My father totally disregarded his letter. Give me some light. But you guys were great. Hey, everybody, wake up there. This is very good. Folks, that about wraps it up for an evening of comedy. Thank you for attending the Jerry Foreman and Kristy Swanson show. Sit down. And before you leave, I'd like to share with you our favorite charity. And it's a charity that Kristy and I really believe in. You didn't pay anything to get in and see this show.